I bought the forbidden girl. She stayed the night and unlocked my past. Elias Vance stood in front of the public contract wall like he did every other evening, not because he needed anything, but because looking at it helped him feel less alone. The wall was not paper. It was a wide strip of glass that showed floating lines of text in soft light. Names, skill ratings, short bios, hourly rates, and legal warnings drifted in neat columns. The station called it the exchange board. Most people called it the market. Elias hated that name. He was not rich. He was not powerful. He was just an engineer on Kestrel Station, a huge trading hub that hung between jump lanes like a lantern in the dark. He fixed air filters, repaired docking clamps, and patched cracked coolant lines. It was honest work. It was quiet work. And it was safe, which mattered more than it used to. Around him, shoppers moved like they were choosing fruit. Some wanted a translator for a week. Some wanted a navigation aid for a long run. Some wanted a legal assistant to handle interspecies tax rules. The board had everything because the galaxy liked problems to be solved quickly, and contracts were the easiest way to buy solutions. Elias' eyes skimmed past the usual listings. He tried not to stare too long at the companionship category. It made him uncomfortable, even when it was legal and clearly regulated. People used it for many reasons. Some wanted someone to talk to over dinner. Some needed a safe escort in public spaces. Some hired a calm presence during difficult medical treatments. The station rules were strict. All contracts had to be voluntary, transparent, and monitored. No coercion, no hidden clauses, no physical intimacy unless both sides requested it separately in private with consent checks and an age verification tag. Still, Elias did not like the feeling of it. He tapped the filter out of habit. Technical support, short-term, local. The list refreshed. New faces appeared. Different names, different numbers. Then the screen flickered once like a blink. A new card slid into place as if it had always been there. It was not in the category he had chosen. The title line read, Restricted Tier Listing, Access Limited. Elias felt his stomach tighten. Listings like that were rare, and usually they belonged to government services, emergency crews, or high-risk research programs. Most people pretended they did not exist. Some did not even see them. The board often hid such things unless a person's ID had a certain clearance. Elias did not have clearance, he was sure of that, but the card stayed. The name field was strange. It did not show a normal full name. It showed one word, Lyra. Under it was a short line, adult, verified. Elias let out a slow breath he did not know he was holding. That mattered. He had no interest in anything questionable. He did not want danger in that way. He did not want harm near him for anyone. The skill field was blank. The origin field read, unknown. The contract type was marked as personal support, NON intimate station interior only. Then the warning line in bright amber text, forbidden to select, do not request, system lock. Elias stared at it. He looked around, half expecting someone to shout at him or grab his wrist. No one seemed to notice. People walked by laughing, arguing, bargaining, living their busy lives. He tapped the listing. A red box popped up, Access DENIED. He tapped again, slower, as if that would help. Access DENIED. He should have stopped there, he knew it. He could feel the sensible part of him step forward like an old friend. He could go home. He could make tea. He could sleep and wake up and do another shift, but another part of him, quiet and stubborn, did not move away. Lyra's picture was not a normal profile image. It was an empty silhouette like the system refused to display her. That made her feel less like a person and more like a secret. Elias hated secrets. They had taken too much from him. He dragged his thumb down to the tiny print. Most people never read tiny print. Elias always did. This listing is restricted under Interstellar Ethics Compact, Section 9.2, Voluntary Status Confirmed. Contract issuance requires station-level approval. Unauthorized viewing logged. Logged. The word made his heart beat a little harder. Elias' hand hovered. He could leave and pretend he never saw it, but the board had already seen him. It had already logged something if the warning was true. That meant he was already involved, at least a little. He looked at Lyra's one visible detail, adult, verified. Then he looked at himself in the reflection of the glass. 34 years old, tired eyes, hair that never sat right, hands rough from work. He looked like a man who had once run from something and never fully stopped. He pressed the small icon that was not even meant to be pressed. Request override review. The system paused. A circle spun. Elias waited for the denial. Instead, a message appeared, review submitted. Station AI will respond. Elias blinked. His mouth went dry. What? The board gave him no more information. The listing faded as if it had never been there, and his filtered category returned like a polite lie. He stood still for a moment. Then he stepped back, heart thumping, as if he had done something wrong even though he had followed the official option. He walked home fast. His room was small, like most station rooms. A bed, a desk, a narrow shelf with tools and spare parts, a kettle. A little window that showed the curve of the station interior, pipes and lights and distant walkways, all of it humming quietly like a giant living machine. Elias made tea. He tried to focus on the steam. He tried to breathe. His wrist calm buzzed. Station admin message, review approved. Contract issued. Arrival time 22:10. Location Unit B14. Elias stared at the words approved. It did not make sense. He read it again, slower. Approved. Contract issued. He did not remember sitting down, but suddenly he was on the edge of his bed, tea cooling in his hands. He felt the old feeling in his chest, the one he got when something in the universe shifted, and he could not tell if it was good or bad. At 22:07 he heard the hallway footsteps, light, careful steps, then a soft knock. Elias stood. His legs felt strange, like they belonged to someone else. He opened the door. A young woman stood there, but not a girl. She was clearly an adult, with calm eyes and a posture that suggested she had learned how to take up as little space as possible. She wore a simple station jacket with no logos. Her hair was dark and tied back. Her skin was a warm brown tone that caught the hallway light gently. But the thing that made Elias freeze was not her face. It was the faint, almost invisible shimmer along her neck, like a thin thread of silver beneath the skin. He had seen interfaces like that in high-end medical tech and advanced pilots, not common on a station like this. She met his eyes and did not look away. Elias Vance, she said. He swallowed. Yes, that's me. She lifted her wrist. A small light blinked, the standard contract verification. Lyra, she said. Support contract, non-intimate, station interior only. Elias forced himself to nod. Right, yes, come in. She stepped inside. Her gaze moved through the room, not judging, just observing. Her eyes paused on the shelf of tools, the neatly organized spare parts, the small pile of old paper books Elias kept because he liked the feel of real pages. You like fixing things, she said. He gave a small, nervous laugh. It's my job. It's more than your job, she replied, as if she already knew. Elias closed the door and leaned against it for a second, grounding himself. I'm going to be honest, he said. I don't understand how you're here. Your listing, it said forbidden. Lyra's expression did not change much, but something in her eyes softened. The board showed you what it was allowed to show you, she said, and it allowed you to request. That doesn't answer. It does, she said gently, just not in the way you want. Elias watched her carefully. He was not afraid of her. He was afraid of what she represented. A secret, a locked door, a part of reality that other people insisted did not exist. He gestured toward the chair by the desk. You can sit. Lyra sat. She placed her hands in her lap. Elias noticed that her fingers were slightly marked with tiny pale lines like healed microscars, work scars, or something like them. He sat on the edge of the bed, leaving space between them. So, he said, trying to keep his voice steady, what does the contract say you're supposed to do? Lyra looked down briefly, then back up. Personal support, she said. Conversation, emotional stability assistance, memory grounding, situational monitoring. I am here to help you through a scheduled period of rest. Elias frowned. Scheduled by who? I didn't schedule. You requested, she reminded him. I requested an override review because I was curious, he said. That's not a schedule. The station AI thinks it is, she replied, or someone who taught it to think like that. Elias rubbed his forehead. He felt tired in a way that had nothing to do with work. Okay, fine, if you're here, you're here. We'll follow the rules. You're safe here. No one will touch you. No one will hurt you. I'm not that kind of person. Lyra's gaze held his. I know, she said quietly. That simple sentence hit him harder than he expected. He did not know why. Elias stood and poured a second cup of tea. He offered it to her. She accepted. Her hands did not shake. She lifted the cup, inhaled the steam, and her eyelids lowered for a brief moment like the scent carried information. Chamomile, she said. Yeah, Elias said. Helps with sleep, at least in theory. Lyra took a careful sip. You don't sleep well. Elias almost laughed again, but it came out as a breath. No, not really. There was a pause, not awkward, just quiet. Then Lyra said, "May I ask a question?" Elias nodded. "Sure." "Why did you leave the Rim?" she asked. Elias felt his throat tighten. The Rim, the outer human frontier, the place he never talked about. The place his records said he had worked in for 2 years and then nothing, a blank, a gap. I had an accident," he said. It was the official story. It was the only story he had. Lyra tilted her head slightly. "That is what they wrote," she said, "not what happened." Elias set his cup down too hard, tea rippled. "Who is they?" he asked, sharper than he meant to. Lyra did not flinch. "The ones who cleaned the file," she said. "The ones who cleaned you." Elias stared at her. "I don't know what that means." "You feel it," she replied. "Every time you try to remember you hit a wall, not a normal wall, a smooth wall." His hands curled into fists, then relaxed. He forced himself to breathe. "I have memory gaps," he said. "Lots of people do. Trauma does that." Lyra's voice stayed calm. "Trauma makes memories painful," she said. "It does not make them missing with perfect edges." Elias looked away toward the window. The station lights outside were steady. The universe looked normal. But inside him, something was moving. "What are you?" he asked, softer now. "Really?" Lyra held her cup with both hands. "A person," she said first firmly, then she added, "and a key." "A key to what?" Lyra's eyes lifted. In them was something old and tired and strangely kind. "To you," she said. Elias' heart beat slow and heavy. "That makes no sense." "It will," she answered. A low hum rolled through the room. At first, Elias thought it was just the station shifting into night cycle. Then the lights flickered once. The kettle's tiny indicator light blinked off and on. Elias stood quickly. "Power surge?" Lyra remained seated. She watched the ceiling as if she could see through it. "Not a surge," she said. "A question." Elias frowned. "A question from who?" The lights flickered again. This time the comm panel on Elias' desk lit up without being touched. A line of text appeared in pale blue. "Identity match. VANCE-ELIAS. Legacy access pending." Elias' mouth went dry. He had never seen that message, not once in his life. Lyra stood slowly like she did not want to startle him. "You are connected," she said. "I'm not connected to anything," Elias said, but his voice did not sound sure. Lyra took a step closer, stopping at a respectful distance. "They told you that you were ordinary," she said. "They told you that you were only a worker on a station. They told you the past was gone." Elias felt dizzy. "Stop," he whispered. I don't want." Lyra's expression softened again. "You asked," she said, "not with words. With the way you looked at the forbidden listing and refused to look away." Elias swallowed hard. "Why me?" Lyra's lips parted slightly as if she was about to say something rehearsed, but then she paused, and what came next sounded real. "Because you didn't leave me behind," she said. Elias blinked. "What?" Lyra's eyes shone in the dim light. "You didn't leave me behind," she repeated slower. "They erased you." Elias stared at her, and for a split second an image flashed through his mind. Not a full memory, just a fragment. A cold corridor, a door with a warning symbol, a woman's voice calling his name. Not Lyra, someone else maybe, or maybe Lyra, younger, different, impossible. Then the image vanished like a dream being pulled away. Elias' hands trembled. He hated that. He hated feeling like his own mind was not his. Lyra lifted her palms slightly open and non-threatening. "I am not here to hurt you," she said. "I am here to help you remember safely, one piece at a time, no pain if we can avoid it." Elias breathed in out. He forced his voice to work. "If you know me," he said, "then tell me something only I would know." Lyra's gaze held his, steady and gentle, and she spoke in a quiet voice that felt like it came from somewhere deep inside a locked room. "You always counted the bolts twice," she said. "Not because you didn't trust yourself, because you didn't trust the universe to stay kind." Elias went still. His chest tightened. That was true. He did it even now without thinking when he repaired a panel or sealed a pipe. He counted bolts twice. He had never told anyone. It was not something you explained. The station lights flickered a third time, then steadied. The comm panel message faded, leaving only a small icon pulsing like a heartbeat. Elias looked at Lyra and saw, for the first time, that she looked tired too. Not sleepy tired. Old tired, like someone who had waited a long time for a door to open. Outside, the station continued its night routine. People slept, ships docked, machines hummed. Inside the small room, a forbidden contract had turned into something else entirely, a beginning. Elias swallowed and nodded once slowly. "Okay," he said. "If you're a key, then I want to know what door you open." Lyra's shoulders relaxed a fraction. Then tonight, she said, we start with something simple. What's that? Elias asked. Lyra looked toward the bed, then toward the chair, making sure he understood she meant rest, not anything else. Sleep, she said. Real sleep. The kind where your body stops bracing for impact. Elias let out a shaky breath. I don't think I remember how. Lyra's voice stayed soft. I do, she said, and I will stay here in the room as the contract allows. I will monitor your breathing, your stress signals. If you wake, I will be there. If memories come, I will guide you away from panic. Elias hesitated. Trust did not come easy, not for him. But the strange truth was, the moment she arrived, something in him felt less alone, like the universe had finally acknowledged that something had been taken from him. He nodded again. All right, he said. We follow the rules. You stay over there by the chair. I sleep over here. No weird stuff. Lyra gave the smallest hint of a smile. Agreed, she said. Elias lay down, fully clothed, shoes off, blanket pulled up. The room felt different, not safer exactly, just less empty. Lyra sat in the chair, quiet as a shadow, not watching him like a guard, but listening like a friend. As Elias' eyes grew heavy, he felt the edge of a memory brush his mind like a feather. He didn't grab it. He didn't chase it. He let it drift. Just before sleep took him, he heard Lyra whisper not to him, but to the air like a promise. Found you, she said. This time they won't take you away. Morning on Kestrel Station did not come with sunlight. It came with a soft change in the color of the lights and a gentle rise in the hum of the machines. The walls shifted from deep blue to pale gold, and the air system released a faint scent meant to remind people of open skies and fresh wind, even though there was no real sky anywhere nearby. Elias woke slowly. For a moment, he forgot where he was. He forgot the contract board. He forgot the forbidden listing. He forgot Lyra. Then he heard quiet breathing. He turned his head and saw her sitting in the same chair by the desk, her back straight, her hands resting loosely in her lap. She had not moved all night. Her eyes were open, calm, and focused, but not in a way that made him feel watched. It felt more like she was standing guard over something fragile, over him. Elias pushed himself up, rubbing his face. You didn't sleep, he said. I don't need to, Lyra replied. Not the way you do, he frowned. Everyone needs sleep. Lyra tilted her head slightly. I rest, I just don't lose awareness. Elias stood and stretched. His body felt strange, lighter, less tight. He realized with surprise that he had slept through the night without waking up even once. That had not happened in years. He looked at her. You did something. Lyra shook her head. I did not change you, she said. I only helped you feel safe enough to stop fighting the dark. Elias did not know how to answer that. He went to the small sink and splashed water on his face. The man in the reflection looked the same, but his eyes looked clearer, like someone had wiped dust off a window. When he turned back, Lyra was standing near the shelf looking at his books. She touched one gently like it was something rare. These are old, she said. Yeah, Elias replied. Real paper, found them in a storage crate years ago. Most people use screens. Why keep them? She asked. Elias shrugged. They don't change, no updates, no edits. What's written stays written. Lyra's fingers paused on the cover of one book. That matters to you. It does, he said. Things get rewritten too easily in this galaxy. Lyra met his eyes. There was that look again, the one that made him feel like she saw more than he said. A soft chime sounded from Elias' wrist comm. He lifted it and frowned. Station notice, maintenance shift adjusted. Report to Sector D7 in 1 hour, he sighed. Looks like I still have a job. Lyra stepped back from the shelf. I can stay here, she said. The contract allows for personal support without constant presence. Elias hesitated. You don't have to sit alone in my room all day. I don't mind, she replied. He shook his head. Come with me. Public areas are allowed. I'd rather keep an eye on you than leave you here with nothing. Lyra considered this for a moment, then nodded. All right. They walked through the station together. People passed them without paying much attention. A human engineer and a young woman in a plain jacket did not look like anything special in a place filled with dozens of species and stranger sights. But Elias noticed things anyway. Some screens dimmed as Lyra walked past. A security drone hovered a little longer than normal before moving on. A translation terminal flickered between languages for a second, like it could not decide which one to use. Lyra noticed too. Her shoulders stayed relaxed, but her eyes tracked everything. You're doing that? Elias said quietly as they entered a wide corridor that overlooked the inner ring of the station. Not on purpose, Lyra replied. Systems respond to me. I am tagged in ways most people are not. Elias leaned on the railing and looked down at the traffic below. Cargo carts rolled along glowing lines. Workers in different uniforms moved in careful patterns. Ships drifted in and out of docking bays like slow fish in a metal sea. "What are you really?" he asked again. Lyra stood beside him, looking out at the same view. "I was made," she said, "but not as a tool. I was made as a bridge." "A bridge between what?" "Between what humans were," she said, "and what they could become without losing themselves." Elias frowned. "That sounds like a slogan." Lyra gave a small, almost human smile. "It started as one." They walked the rest of the way in silence. Sector D7 was loud. The air smelled of metal and coolant. Elias grabbed his tool kit and got to work sealing a cracked line that fed power to a row of docking clamps. Lyra stayed a few steps back out of the way, but she watched closely. "You learned this fast," she said as he worked. "Been doing it a long time," Elias replied. "Longer than your records say," she added. His hands paused for a second, then kept moving. "You keep saying things like that." "Because they keep being true," Lyra replied. A nearby worker, a tall alien with blue-gray skin and 4 arms, glanced over. "Your friend talks a lot," he said through the translator. "She's new," Elias said. The alien nodded, uninterested, and went back to his task. Lyra stepped closer. "Your hands remember things your mind does not," she said softly. "The way you reroute power. The way you check safety locks. You learned this in places more dangerous than this station." Elias finished tightening a bolt and leaned back. "I don't remember those places." "No," Lyra said, "but I do." Elias turned to her. "You weren't there." Lyra met his gaze. "I was not there in a body," she said, "but I was there in the network, in the records they tried to bury, in the systems they thought no one would ever connect again." Elias felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold air. His comm buzzed again. "Security notice, identity flagged. Please report to admin desk 3. Elias stared at the message. "That's new." Lyra read it over his shoulder. "They noticed," she said. "Who?" Elias asked. "The ones who do not like loose threads," Lyra replied. Elias exhaled slowly. "I really hate being a loose thread." They walked toward the admin level. The station here was cleaner, quieter. The walls were smooth and white. The lights were bright and steady. At desk 3, a human officer stood behind a clear panel. She looked tired in the way people did when they had too many rules and not enough answers. "Elias Vance," she said, "you triggered a restricted system response last night." Elias opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. "I tapped a listing," he said. "The system let me." The officer's eyes flicked to Lyra, then back to Elias. "The system does let people do things like that by accident." Lyra stepped forward slightly. "The contract was approved," she said. "By station authority." The officer frowned. "Station authority doesn't approve restricted tier contracts without a review board." Lyra lifted her wrist. A soft light glowed, projecting a string of codes into the air. The officer's panel chimed and scrolled rapidly. The officer's frown deepened. "This approval signature is old." "How old?" Elias asked. "Decades," the officer said. "Older than this station." Lyra lowered her wrist. "Then it is valid," she said. The officer hesitated. She looked between Elias and Lyra. Finally, she sighed. "I don't get paid enough to argue with ghosts in the system," she muttered. "You're clear for now." They walked away. Elias did not feel clear at all. Back in his room later, Elias paced. "You just showed her something that shouldn't exist." Lyra sat on the edge of the bed, careful to leave space. "It exists because someone wanted you protected," she said. "Who?" Elias asked. Lyra's voice softened. "You did." Elias stopped. "That's not possible." "Before," she said, "you were not the man who fixes pipes on a station. You were part of a group that believed humanity needed a memory that could not be erased by time, war, or fear." Elias shook his head. "I would remember something like that." "You chose not to," Lyra said. "You chose to forget so the project could not be traced through you. You became ordinary on purpose." Elias sat down hard in the chair. "That's insane." Lyra knelt in front of him, not touching, just close enough to feel real. "Do you know why the listing called me forbidden?" she asked. He swallowed. "Why?" "Because I carry pieces of hundreds of human minds," she said. "Scientists, pilots, teachers, builders, not their thoughts, but their values, their choices, their stories. I'm a living library of what humans decided they should never lose." Elias stared at her. "That's too big." "Yes," Lyra said. "That is why they tried to lock me away." Silence filled the room. Elias laughed suddenly, short and breathless. I fix air filters. Lyra smiled, gentle and warm. And you once helped design a way for an entire species to remember who they were. Elias covered his face with his hands. I don't feel like that person. You don't have to, Lyra said. You only have to decide if you still agree with him. He lowered his hands. Agree with what? That humans should not become powerful without becoming kind, she said. Elias thought of the station workers, the tired officer, the alien with 4 arms, the quiet way people helped each other in small, unnoticed ways. I still believe that, he said. Lyra's eyes shone. Then you are still him. The comm panel lit up again. Incoming transmission, Galactic Oversight Council. Elias groaned. Of course. The screen filled with the image of a tall, elegant alien with skin like polished stone and eyes that glowed faintly. Elias Vance, the being said. You are in possession of a restricted entity. Lyra stepped into view. I am a person, she said. The alien inclined its head. So you claim. Elias felt anger rise in his chest. She's under contract, approved. By a system that no longer exists, the alien replied. We are coming to retrieve her. Lyra looked at Elias. Not scared, not desperate, just waiting. Elias straightened. No, he said, you're not. The alien's eyes narrowed. You are one man on a station. Elias nodded. Yeah, and I fix things. He reached for the station control panel on his wall. He did not know how he knew which code to enter, but his fingers moved anyway. Across the station, lights dimmed in a pattern that looked like a ripple. I also know how to make systems ask questions instead of follow orders, Elias said. The alien's screen flickered. Lyra stepped closer to Elias, standing beside him, not behind him. Humans do not hide, she said to the screen. We connect. The transmission cut. Elias' heart pounded. I just made a very big problem. Lyra placed a hand lightly on his arm, the first time she touched him. It was warm, real. You just reminded the galaxy, she said, that you are more than a quiet man in a small room. Elias looked at her, fear and wonder mixed together. What happens now? Lyra smiled, not because things were easy, but because they were meaningful. Now, she said, the stars start paying attention. The station did not explode. The alarms did not scream. The galaxy did not fall apart. Instead, Kestrel's station went very, very quiet. The hum of the machines dropped to a low whisper. The bright hallway lights softened into a dim silver glow. Screens across the station froze for a second, then refreshed with new symbols that no one recognized. Elias stood still in his room, his hand still hovering near the control panel. I didn't mean to shut everything down, he said. Lyra shook her head. You didn't, she replied. You asked the system to listen instead of obey. Elias stared at the panel. I didn't even know I could do that. You always could, Lyra said. You just forgot. The station comm chimed, not as an alarm, but as a calm, clear tone that echoed through every corridor. Station AI message. System query mode active. Priority, human ethical protocols. Elias felt his chest tighten. That sounds like something I shouldn't have access to. Lyra smiled softly. It sounds like something you helped write. They stepped out into the hallway. Doors along the corridor slid open as people peeked out, confused but not panicked. A group of workers gathered near a window, pointing at the main display screen in the central ring. Elias and Lyra followed the crowd. The massive screen that usually showed shipping schedules and station announcements now displayed a single line of text in simple, clean letters. Why are we doing this? People murmured. A human woman in a cargo vest frowned. Is this some kind of test? A tall alien with feathered arms tilted its head. Machines do not usually ask questions. Lyra stood beside Elias, her presence calm and steady. They do now, she said quietly. Security drones hovered in the air, but they did not move to block anyone. Their lights pulsed slowly, like they were waiting for instructions they were no longer sure how to follow. Elias rubbed his neck. I didn't plan this. You didn't plan to be found either, Lyra replied. But here you are. The screen changed. New query WHO benefits. The crowd grew louder. Some people laughed nervously. Others looked thoughtful. A few looked worried. A human dockworker crossed his arms. This thing's messing with us. A small, round alien with glowing eyes replied. Or maybe it is finally talking to us. Elias felt eyes turn toward him, though no one pointed. He did not know why. Maybe it was the way he stood, or the way Lyra stood beside him, like they were both part of something bigger than a simple station crowd. Lyra leaned close and spoke softly. The Council will try to take control back, not with force, with rules, with warnings. With reasons that sound reasonable. Elias frowned. And what do? We let people decide for themselves, she said. As if on cue, personal comms across the station lit up. Messages appeared on screens, wrist displays, and wall panels. Galactic Oversight Notice, temporary system error. Please remain calm. Normal function will resume shortly. A few seconds later, another message followed, this one from the station AI. Station AI message, I am asking a question. You may answer or ignore. Both are acceptable. Elias let out a slow breath. You taught it that? Yes, Lyra said, long ago. The main screen changed again. What do you want this station to be? The question hung in the air like a held breath. At first, no one spoke. Then a young human pilot raised her hand, like she was back in school. I want it to be a place where no one gets pushed out just because they don't belong somewhere else. Her words appeared on the screen, simple and clear. A tall, insect-like alien stepped forward. I want it to be a place where trade does not mean taking advantage of those who do not understand the rules. Those words joined the first. A station medic added, I want it to be a place where help comes before paperwork. More voices followed, different species. Different ages, different needs. The screen filled slowly with lines of text, not commands, not data, but hopes. Elias felt something warm and heavy in his chest. He had lived here for years, fixing broken things, never thinking much about the people beyond their problems. Now he saw them, really saw them. Lyra watched him, her eyes soft. This is what you wanted, she said. Not control, not power, connection. A sharp tone cut through the moment. A new image appeared on the screen. The tall, stone-skinned alien from before, the council representative. This experiment ends now, the alien said. You are disrupting interstellar order. Lyra stepped forward. We are asking a question, she said. That is not disruption, that is participation. The alien's eyes glowed brighter. Your existence is the disruption. Elias felt anger rise. He did not shout, he did not threaten, he just spoke. She's a person, he said, just like everyone else here. The alien paused. She is a system. Lyra shook her head. I am a memory of choice, she said. And so are they? She gestured to the crowd. The screen split, showing faces from across the station. Humans, aliens, workers, travelers, families, all watching. The council alien hesitated. Elias realized something then. The council did not like being seen. It liked decisions made far away in quiet rooms where no one asked too many questions. Now the entire station was watching. Why are you afraid of her? Elias asked. The alien answered after a long pause. Because if every world builds one like her, no one will forget what they promised to be. Lyra smiled, gentle and sad. That is not something to fear, she said. That is something to live up to. The screen went dark. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the station AI chimed again. Station AI message, council connection closed, local network maintained. A cheer rose, not loud, not wild, but steady and strong. People did not celebrate a victory. They celebrated being heard. Elias leaned against the railing, suddenly tired. I think I just made myself very unpopular in very powerful places. Lyra nodded. You always were. He laughed, a short, surprised sound. I don't feel powerful. You don't need to, she said. You just need to keep choosing. Later, when the station began to return to its normal rhythm, Elias and Lyra walked through a quieter corridor. The lights were back to their usual glow. The hum of machines felt familiar again. Are they going to come back? Elias asked. Yes, Lyra said. The council does not like loose ends, Elias sighed. I'm really starting to miss just fixing pipes. Lyra looked at him. You are still fixing things, she said, just bigger ones. They stopped near a wide window that looked out into space. Stars drifted past like distant fires. Lyra placed her hand on the glass. There are other stations, other worlds, systems that never got the chance to ask who they wanted to be. Elias followed her gaze. And you want to go to them? I want to offer, she said. Not force. Not demand, just offer. Elias nodded slowly. The council won't like that. They don't have to, Lyra replied. The people will. A soft tone sounded from Elias' comm. Station AI message, ethical protocol request. User VANCEELIAS, confirm role. Elias stared at it. Role. Lyra leaned closer. It is asking if you will be what you were before. And what was that? Elias asked. A guide, she said. Not a leader, not a ruler, a reminder. Elias closed his eyes for a second. He thought of the contract board, the forbidden listing, the quiet room. The way Lyra had waited for him to wake up. I didn't ask for this, he said. No, Lyra agreed. You asked a question. He opened his eyes and tapped the screen. Confirm role, yes. The station AI responded. Role confirmed. Network access limited to consent-based connections. Elias exhaled. That sounds like it can't go too wrong, Lyra smiled. You built it that way? They returned to Elias' room. It felt smaller now, not because it had changed, but because the universe outside it felt bigger. Lyra sat in the chair again. Elias sat on the bed. What happens if they take you? Elias asked quietly. Lyra met his eyes. They can take my body, she said. They cannot take what I have already shared. Elias frowned. You've shared it already? Lyra nodded. With the station, with the people, with you. He felt a strange warmth in his chest. I don't remember learning any of this. You remember choosing it, she said. That is enough. A knock sounded at the door. Elias opened it to find the tired security officer from before. She looked around the hallway, then back at him. I'm not supposed to say this, she said, but thank you. My daughter asked me tonight why I work here. I told her it's because this place helps people find somewhere to stand. Elias smiled, small and honest. That's a good answer. She nodded and walked away. Elias closed the door and leaned against it. Lyra watched him. You see, she said, it is already spreading. I didn't mean to start anything, Elias replied. Lyra stood and walked over to him, stopping just short of touching. You didn't start it, she said. You remembered it. Outside, a ship drifted away from the station, its lights blinking softly. Somewhere else in the galaxy, a world turned under a different sky. Elias looked at Lyra. If we leave here, if we really go out there, it won't be easy. Lyra nodded. It was never meant to be. Elias took a slow breath. Okay, he said. Then we do it the hard way. Lyra's smile was bright, not because the future was safe, but because it was open. Somewhere deep in the station, the AI logged a final line, unseen by anyone but itself. Connection established. Human network active. And in the quiet space between stars, something old and hopeful stirred, not as a weapon, not as a command, but as a simple, powerful idea. What if the galaxy remembered who it wanted to be? The station was alive in a way Elias had never noticed before. Not just humming with machines or moving ships or blinking lights, but alive with attention. It was as if Kestrel itself had begun to watch the people within it, and not just as objects to be catalogued or problems to be solved. Every display screen, every comm, every small indicator light seemed to respond to the presence of the human and the girl standing side by side. Elias walked down the main corridor with Lyra beside him. The hum of the station was steadier now, but there was an undercurrent, a gentle rhythm that felt like anticipation. People paused to look at them. Some stared with curiosity, others with suspicion. Elias could feel their questions even when no words were spoken. Who are they? Why are they here? Lyra's hand brushed against his as they passed through a cluster of dockworkers, not in touch but in alignment, guiding him without him knowing it. He realized that wherever she went, systems and people responded, not out of fear, not out of control, but recognition. Recognition that something had changed and no one could ignore it. Do they understand? Elias asked quietly, keeping his voice low so only Lyra could hear. Some do, she replied. Some are beginning to remember that they have a choice. They entered the central ring of the station, where the display screens usually showed ship schedules and cargo manifests. Now the screens were filled with the text of questions and answers, chosen by the people. The crowd had grown overnight. Species of all shapes and sizes stood together, sharing thoughts. Lines of text floated in soft light above their heads, each one representing a wish, a hope, or a decision about what the station should be. Elias felt a knot in his stomach. I never expected this. Lyra looked at him, calm and steady. Neither did anyone else. That is why it works. The Alien Council representative appeared again, this time on the main display, flanked by holographic panels of data. Its voice was calm but firm. You are interfering with natural order, it said. We are asking a question, Lyra replied, her voice cutting clear across the noise of the station. Not demanding, not controlling, just asking. The Council alien's eyes glowed brighter. Your existence alone is interference. Elias stepped forward, heart pounding. She's not a tool, she's not a weapon, she's a person just like everyone else here. Lyra looked at him, soft but serious. And I am more than a person, I am memory, I am choice, I am everything they tried to hide and everything humanity decided to protect. The alien's eyes flickered. It was weighing something, Elias realized. Not strength, not speed, not firepower, but the impossibility of a single idea spreading faster than rules could contain. Lyra raised her hand slightly. Look at them, she said, gesturing to the crowd. Humans, aliens, workers, travelers, all watching, all thinking, all deciding. The council representative paused. Its gaze swept across the crowd. If every world builds one like her, if every human and every species finds the courage to connect, then memory, ethics, and choice are no longer private. They are shared. The galaxy itself remembers this cannot be undone. The room went silent. People stared at each other, seeing each other not as strangers, not as workers or aliens, but as participants in a growing truth, that the galaxy could be guided not by fear, not by law, but by the decisions of those willing to act ethically. Elias turned to Lyra. So that's it. We're rewriting the rules without touching anyone's life. Yes, she said, we are reminding everyone that the galaxy is alive, that every choice matters, that no one should be invisible. The council alien's voice softened slightly. And you, human, it said. You remind me why the project was necessary, why the memory could not be lost, why choice must survive. Elias felt a rush of heat in his chest. I just didn't forget. I wanted to see clearly. You did more than see clearly, Lyra said. You made others see clearly, too. People began to speak aloud, offering their wishes to the station. Better safety measures, more transparency, fairer trade, more opportunities for cooperation. The words were not commands. They were statements of intent. Each one added to the growing network of understanding that Lyra had awakened. Elias watched them, a quiet pride growing inside him. He felt the weight of the past he had tried to forget, the work he had done, the lives he had touched without remembering. It all mattered now, connected to something larger than himself. Elias, Lyra said, look at them, see how they choose. He did, and for the first time he saw the station not as a machine, but as a living organism. Every individual connected by invisible threads of thought, memory, and decision. Every choice mattered, every voice counted. They're ready, he whispered. Yes, Lyra said, and you helped them get here. The station AI spoke again, its voice steady and calm. Local network access established, ethical protocols recognized, consent-based interactions active. The crowd reacted with soft murmurs of understanding. Some nodded, some smiled. A few laughed quietly. No one shouted, no one panicked. Instead, they absorbed the weight of participation, realizing that they had a say in shaping the station's future. Elias felt a hand on his shoulder. He looked down to see Lyra's gentle gaze meeting his. This is only the beginning, she said. Other stations, other systems, other worlds, they will all hear this eventually. We are not forcing them. We are offering them a choice. He nodded slowly. The council, they're not going to like that. They don't need to, Lyra said. The people will. Elias laughed softly, short and incredulous. I still don't feel powerful. You never needed to feel powerful, she replied. You just need to act, that is enough. Outside, a ship passed the station. Its lights blinked softly, distant but steady. Somewhere else across the vast stretch of space, other worlds moved under stars that humans had long thought unreachable. Lyra stood beside him at the window, calm and assured. Each world will have a chance, she said. A chance to remember, a chance to choose. Elias watched the stars, thinking of the station workers, the dock hands, the aliens, the children, the tired officers. Each one mattered, each one had spoken, each one had a voice. What if they don't accept it? He asked quietly. Lyra smiled, patient and steady. Then they observe, then they learn, then they decide when they are ready. This is not about forcing a future, this is about offering one. He nodded slowly, understanding for the first time what she meant. We're not leading them, we're reminding them. Exactly, she said. And reminding is enough. The comm panel lit up again, a soft blue glow. Station AI message, network confirmed, human ethical protocols active, observation ready. Elias felt a sudden lightness in his chest. The weight of fear, of hiding, of forgetting had lifted. The station, the people, the systems, all of it, had responded not to power but to connection. Lyra stepped closer. It is spreading, she said. The memory, the choice, the question, it moves faster than any law can contain. Elias turned to her. And we just started. Yes, she said, we just started. They stood together, watching the people of Kestrel Station choose, speak, and decide. The galaxy beyond the windows stretched endlessly, full of stars, full of possibilities. Elias took a deep breath. If we leave here, if we go to other worlds, Lyra's eyes glimmered with a quiet certainty. It will not be easy. I know, he said, but it will matter. She placed her hand lightly on the railing beside his. Then we go not because it is safe, but because it is necessary. The station continued to hum around them, alive and aware. The AI quietly logged each choice, each wish, each voice. And in the silent spaces between stars, something ancient and hopeful stirred, carried by memory and choice, moving outward like a gentle wave. A reminder that the galaxy could be more than rules and systems. It could be humanity's careful, persistent, and compassionate presence. Elias looked at Lyra. "This is bigger than me, isn't it?" "Yes," she said. "And bigger than anyone else, too, but that does not matter. All that matters is that it begins and it moves forward because someone finally asked the question, what do we want to be?" Elias exhaled slowly. "Then let's make sure the galaxy hears it." Lyra's hand lingered beside his, steady, real. "We already have." And somewhere, deep in the uncountable stations and worlds beyond Kestrel, a network of humans and aliens began to hum, not with commands, not with fear, but with understanding. A quiet, unwavering reminder that the stars remembered what people chose to be. The galaxy had begun to listen. The calm of Kestrel Station was different now. Not quiet exactly, but alive with purpose. The hum of machinery, the soft chatter of travelers, the gentle whir of drones, all of it carried the weight of something new, something deliberate. Elias moved through the corridors with Lyra beside him, not feeling the usual fatigue that came from long hours of work. Instead, he felt connected. The main ring of the station was crowded, but there was no panic, no chaos. People moved with intention, their eyes bright with curiosity and understanding. They did not need instructions or commands. They only needed guidance, and in that, Elias realized humanity had found its greatest strength. Lyra's presence beside him was quiet, almost invisible to those who were not watching closely. Yet systems and people responded to her as if she carried a subtle signal, a reminder that every choice mattered, a gentle nudge toward cooperation, toward ethical action. Elias felt it too, the way the station seemed to bend toward good without anyone forcing it. "Do you feel it?" he asked, his voice low. Lyra nodded. "It is subtle, but it is there. The station, the people, even the machines, they are responding. They are listening." Elias exhaled. "I didn't know it could feel like this. Not just fixing things, not just following orders. It's alive." "Yes," Lyra said. "Life is not only breathing and walking. Life is remembering. Life is choosing. That is why they call me forbidden. I remind people of what they cannot forget." He glanced around at the crowd. Humans, aliens, travelers, all of them sharing small acts of care, cooperation, and understanding. A young human engineer offered assistance to a struggling alien worker. A pair of traders negotiated fairly, not aggressively. A child guided a small robot back to its station, smiling as if the simple act mattered to the universe itself. "They are learning," Elias said softly, "faster than I thought they could." "They are always capable," Lyra replied. "They just need someone to show them they can act with choice, not fear." Elias followed her gaze toward a large display screen that hovered above the crowd. It pulsed gently, showing the station AI's ongoing record of questions and responses. Every word typed, every wish shared, every ethical choice made by the people of Kestrel Station was now visible, forming a web of intention across the display. "Do you think the council will accept this?" Elias asked. Lyra smiled faintly. "They will not like it. They never do when people act without permission, but they will not be able to stop it, not really." "Why not?" he asked. "Because it is not control," she said. "It is choice. And choice cannot be erased." A soft hum echoed through the station, louder than the usual machinery. The comm panels blinked in unison. A new message appeared: Galactic Oversight Council Connection Attempt. Elia's stomach tightened. "Here we go." Lyra placed a hand gently on his arm. "Do not panic. We are ready. They will try to impose authority, but you have reminded the station that authority without consent is meaningless." The council representative's face appeared on the main display, this time alone, flanked by data panels. Its eyes glowed faintly, but there was something new, a hesitation, a recognition of the change. "You have disrupted order," it said calmly. "Your actions are unauthorized." Elias stepped forward, his voice steady. "I have not disrupted order. I have asked people to think, to choose, to remember what it means to care for each other." The alien's gaze swept across the crowd, noting every individual. "And you, Lyra," it said. "You are not simply a person, you are a system. You carry knowledge that humans cannot fully control. That is dangerous." Lyra did not flinch. She raised her hand slightly, a small gesture that seemed to align with the station itself. I am not dangerous, I am a reminder. The danger lies in forgetting, in erasing choice, in ignoring memory. The council representative's eyes flickered. It spoke again, softer now. If every station, every world acted this way, the galaxy would be ungovernable. Elias felt a pulse of pride. Maybe the galaxy should be ungovernable if ungovernable means people remember how to act with care. Lyra nodded. We are not trying to rule, we are trying to remind, and that is enough. The display screens changed again. They showed messages from the people of Kestrel Station, humans and aliens alike, sharing their hopes for the station. Safety for workers, fair trade, opportunities for learning, and spaces where choices mattered more than rules. The council representative's eyes narrowed. You are spreading influence without permission. How will you contain this? Elias met Lyra's gaze. We don't. Influence is not control. We only show what can be done when people act ethically. The council remained silent for a long moment. Then the alien said, Your methods are unexpected. Lyra stepped closer to Elias. They are human, she said, and that is the difference. The alien's gaze softened slightly. Humans are capable of care that is unpredictable. Perhaps that is why they were feared. Perhaps that is why you were forbidden. Elias felt a strange weight lift from his chest. We were never forbidden to care, he said softly. Lyra's eyes shone. Exactly, that is what they never understood. The council representative's image faded from the screen, leaving the station's AI fully active and responsive to the people themselves. The hum of the station changed, becoming a steady rhythm that carried a sense of hope and collaboration. Elias turned to Lyra. So this is it. The people decide now? Yes, she said. Not everything will be perfect, not every choice will be right, but each person has the chance to act ethically. That is all anyone can ask for. They walked through the central ring again. Workers helped each other without prompting. Traders negotiated fairly. Travelers guided newcomers. Even small machines and drones moved in harmony, responding to the choices of the people rather than rigid commands. Elias realized the true power of what they had started. It was not about laws or weapons or authority. It was about memory, choice, and action. It was about reminding people that they had the ability to shape the world, even in small ways. He paused by a window that looked out into space. Stars stretched endlessly, distant but full of possibility. Other stations, other worlds, he said. We could do this everywhere. Lyra joined him, her presence steady and calm. We will, slowly, carefully, offering choice, not imposing it, connecting people to memory and ethics, reminding the galaxy what humans can do. Elias felt a deep sense of responsibility, but also pride. I never wanted to be part of anything like this. You did not choose to be, Lyra said. You only chose to notice, to remember, to act. That is enough. A soft chime sounded from the station AI. The display screens lit up with new messages, requests from other sectors, other systems, questions about ethics, safety, and cooperation. The ripple of connection was spreading, moving outward from Kestrel Station like waves through the galaxy. Elias watched, understanding at last. Humanity's greatest strength was not speed, strength, or technology. It was the ability to act with choice, to care for others, and to connect across differences. That was what Lyra reminded the galaxy of and what he had helped set in motion. He turned to Lyra. If we go to other stations, other worlds, it won't be easy. Lyra smiled, steady and certain. It never is, but it will be meaningful. Elias felt hope rise in his chest. Then we do it, not for power, not for glory, but because it matters. Lyra nodded. Exactly, that is what humans were always meant to do. Together they looked out at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly, full of unknown challenges and distant possibilities. Yet for the first time, it felt as though the choices of one man and one girl could ripple outward, shaping not just a station, but a future. Elias realized that humanity did not need to conquer the stars. Humanity only needed to remind the stars of what was possible, of care, ethics, and the strength of memory and choice. The people of Kestrel Station moved around them, unaware of the full scope of what was happening, yet participating in it nonetheless. Each smile, each act of cooperation, each decision to help another was part of a larger network of hope, a living proof that humanity could be trusted with its own memory and with the memory of the galaxy. Elias felt Lyra's presence beside him, calm and patient. We've started something, he said. Yes, she said softly, something that cannot be erased, something that will grow. Outside, ships passed the station, stars drifted past, and the galaxy continued to expand, infinite and full of possibility. But now, somewhere deep in the network of worlds, the memory of what humans had chosen, and what they could still choose, was alive, growing, and remembered. Elias took a deep breath. Then let's go. Let's make sure every station, every world, every person has a chance to remember. Lyra's hand brushed against his, not touching but connected. We already have, she said, and we will keep reminding them until the galaxy itself remembers who it wants to be.